Today we're going to be making little coffee cozies, and these little alien coffee cozies can be customized in various ways so you can make them look how you want them to look. This guy here has a little bit of pink in his ears. You can make your alien old and give him some little white hairs. Could make him green, give him little expressive eyes, or in any other color you would like. Supplies we will need to make our cup cozy are some scissors, tapestry needle, a stitch marker. I like to use these little knitting stitch markers. You'll need an H hook or a 5mm hook, as well as a E hook or a 3.5mm hook. We'll use about 21 yards of a base color, 4.5 yards of your lower color, about 2 yards for the eyes, and then you can do little scraps for either the ears or the hair or whatever other little embellishment you would like to add. A tape measure can also be handy to have for this project if you'd like to measure and keep gauge. I did make a little gauge swatch that is 4x4. And you get this with 14 stitches across and 16 single crochet rows. You don't have to make a gauge swatch for this project. You can simply just measure across. In the middle of your base should be about 4.5, and the height of it will be about 2.5 inches. Or if you prefer to measure just by trying it on a cup, that works as well. We're going to start off with our base color and our H or 5mm hook. We're going to start off by making our slip knot and chaining 30. And the second back bump from the hook, so this would be our first back bump. Our second back bump, we're going to start our row 1 and single crochet 29 across. I like to fold my edges in when I'm doing my first row, so I don't have to weave them in later. So just take and stick my tail in between my single crochets. 28, 29. From here, we're going to switch from going from a row to a round. So we're going to start in our first stitch here, and you want to make sure that your row isn't twisted when you start. And we're going to again do 29 single crochets around. (27), 28, 29. And as we come to this last stitch of the round, I like to place my stitch marker so I know where my rounds end. And for round 3, we're again going to do 29 around. (27), 28, 29. And here we will move our stitch marker up to our new end of our row. And for row 4, we're going to be doing an increase. So for this row, we will end up with 33 stitches, and we're going to do 5 single crochets and then an increase 4 times and then 5 single crochets. So we're going to do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and we're going to single crochet 2 in the previous stitch for an increase. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and an increase. One, 2, 3, 4, 5, and an increase. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and an increase. And then we're going to end with 5 single crochets. And again, we're going to move our stitch marker up to our new end of row. Round 5, we're going to be doing 33 single crochets around. 1, 2, 3, 4. Same as before, as we come to the end of our row, we're going to move our stitch marker up. And then for our round 6, we're going to do half double crochets instead of single crochets for this row. We're going to do 33 half double crochets. As we come to the end of our round 6, we can set our stitch marker off to the side. And after we finish our 33rd half double crochet, we're then gonna slip stitch into the next couple stitches, and we will cut and tie off our face color and weave in our ends. I like to use a tapestry needle to weave in my ends. I'll go on the inside of the cozy and go through a few of the inner loops and pull my tail through, and then just trim that tail there at that split for our round 7, and we're going to go back to round 1. So we're going to take our brown color and we'll loop it through round 1 and start with a chain 1 and then a single crochet. And we're going to be working in the back loops only. And we're just going to single crochet 29 around. Back loop only, single crochet. 28, 29, and that brings us back to our first brown single crochet for our round 8, which will be the last round of our base. We're going to do half double crochets working through both loops. So we'll do a half double crochet 6 times. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And then we're going to do a decrease stitch or a half double crochet 2 together. And then we're going to do 5 half double crochets and then a decrease 3 more times. So our ending stitch count will be 25. So we're coming to our last decrease of round 8. And then we're going to do the same thing, and we're just going to slip stitch into the next couple stitches before we cut and tie off. And we will weave this end in as well. We have the base of our cozy. The next step will be to go on to the eyes. For the eyes, we're going to take our E-hook, our 3.5 millimeter hook, and our black, or whatever color you want the eyes to be. And we're going to start off with a magic ring. So we're going to go loop around, kind of like you're drawing a slip stitch, but we're going to stop short of pulling that tight, and we're going to chain 1 to make our magic ring. We're going to put 5 single crochets into this magic ring. Once we get to our 5th one, we're going to pull that tail to close the magic ring. We're then going to go on to closing the loop, or closing our circle. So we're just going to slip stitch into the first stitch. Do one more slip stitch, and then we will cut and tie off, and we're going to leave a longish tail so we can sew on our eyes. We're going to make 2 eyes. We're going to be making 2 eyes. So we're going to make like we're going to do a slip knot, but we're going to stop short of pulling it tight. And then we're just going to chain 1, do our 5 single crochets, 5, and then we'll take our tail of our magic ring and pull it tight. And then we're going to go and slip stitch into our first stitch and slip stitch into one over, leaving a longish tail to sew on our eyes. I'm going to make our ears, going back to our base color and our H hook, making our slip knot, and then chaining 2. And in the back bump of the second one, we're going to single crochet 1. Next, we're going to do an increase for row 2. So 2 single crochets. Row 3, we're going to do 2 single crochets. Chain 1 and turn. And then we're going to increase, and you could either do an increase and then a chain 1, or you can increase by stitching your 2 together in the middle and then another one. So you end up with 3 single crochets at the end. We're going to chain 1, turn, do another 3 single crochets. And for this one, we're going to increase again. So we're going to single crochet, increase, and single crochet for 4. Chain 1 and turn. We're going to do 2 single crochets on the outside, so an increase, and then 2 single crochets, and then a single crochet increase again. And if you wanted to add pink, you could do the last 2 rows, so row 6 and row 7, in a different color. We're then going to chain 1, and we are not going to turn this time. We're going to go on to round 8 of the ear. So we're going to go all the way around, and we're going to do a single crochet in each of the stitches going up the ear. Until we reach our first single crochet, in which we're going to put 3 single crochets in here so we can round our corner. Then we're going to single crochet back down the ear. And this makes our ear here. If you choose to, you could also slip stitch into that first single crochet, so you form a little ear pocket. So when you sew it on, it has that little fold already there for you. So we're gonna cut and tie, leaving a longish tail to sew our ear on. we'll be making 2 ears, so we're going to do all of that again. As we come to the end of our second ear, we're again going to go into that first single crochet of the round, pull a slip stitch through, and cut and tie off with a long tail to sew this ear onto our cozy. For the nose, we're going to take our green and our tapestry needle, and we'll find the center of the front of our cozy. So this one, where this little hole is going to be the middle of the back. So we can fold it around here to find where our nose should be placed. And the nose is going to span about 2 stitches. So we'll leave that there. About 2 stitches away. And we're just going to loop. Just going to loop through. So draw up through one end and then down through the other. And you can make your nose as big or as small as you'd like, depending on how many loop throughs you would like to do. I usually do quite a few to make it stand out. You can also add a darker color for the sides of your nose if you wish. And if you wanted to pinch the sides of the nose, you can do a loop through all of them a couple times on the very outside edge, and then back down the way that you came. And that will cinch in the side of your nose slightly. So you can go back over to the other side and through your loops. Do that one more time through the sides of the loops. And then back down. And on the inside of the cozy, we can tie a knot here so our nose does not come undone. Now that we got our nose on, we place our eyes, and the eyes will go between rounds 2 and 3 on each side of the nose. So about 3 stitches in between the eyes. I like to take the magic circle part of my eye and pull it through on the back side so it kind of stays tagged down while I sew the outer edge of the eye down. And I just weave back and forth, so through the front end of the eye and then back. And I try and do the back loops only. I think it helps to create a little bit of a cleaner look, but you can embroider your eyes however you prefer them to be. And once we make our last loop through on the back side, we take our 2 tails of our eye and tie them together. And then weave in our ends. I'm going to do the same thing with our second eye. So I'm just going to take the middle of my magic circle, pull that beginning loop through, and sew this eye into place. Once we have our eyes and nose in place, we can place our ears. The ears will go about between rows 3 and 5 and just a couple stitches away from the eye. And you can angle your ear up or down or out, depending on what kind of mood you want to give your little alien. If we start from having it folded, we can just go straight through the center. To tag it down there. And then deciding where you want your ear angled. Tag down the entire outer edge. And then depending on how you want your ear to look, you can also tag it down once on the inside of the ear, so the inside stays slightly back from your curved edges. And then we will tie and tuck in our ends of this one, weave in our ends, and then sew on our other ear to match. Sewing down the bottom edge of the ear and then tagging down the back center. And then tying it off, making sure that it is secure. Then weaving in that tail. If you wanted to add a little bit of an embellishment to your guy, you could do a little bit of whites in the eyes. Taking the white. And then just creating a little highlight. After all your pieces are sewed on and you have your desired embellishments, you try your cup cozy onto a cup. Thank you for joining me in making these little alien coffee cup cozies. The blog link will be in the description here. The PDF on Ravelry has a page where you can print out these little coffee cup cozy holders.